Jim Wagner, Lessons for Instructors. Today what I'm going to cover is how to put on stage makeup to simulate an injury such as a bullet wound, a knife wound, or even a bomb blast. And helping me today is Joachim Ruh, and we are in my headquarters in Solingen, Germany. You're going to need some basic supplies to do your injuries, your simulated wounds. And you could Google theatrical supplies and find it there, or you can wait till Halloween when all of these things are available in some stores. What you're going to need to start off with is a knife or scissors to cut the shirt. You're going to need some blood gel and some stage blood. You're also going to need a pre-made wound, and those can be, there are many types you can order, and some stage makeup with various skin tones, skin colors, a brush, an applicator brush, and some spirit gum to make it all adhere. And I'm going to show you how to put it on, and it only will take you at most 10 minutes if you want to do a quick job. The first thing I'm going to do is take the knife, and of course be very careful, or scissors. And in this case I want to put the wound somewhere right here. This will simulate a knife wound. So you got to pull the shirt from his skin, obviously not to hurt him, and poke a hole where you want this knife wound. Now don't exaggerate and do it too much. Take a makeup pencil or a pen and mark exactly where this wound is going to be. And then after that, you're going to lift up the shirt where this wound is going to be. Now you're going to take your wound here and spirit gum, turn the wound over, and this is of course made of latex, and carefully coat all of the wound that's going to make contact with the skin. And there's a little paintbrush applicator, and you just paint the inside, but don't forget to paint the edges, because that's what's going to stick to the skin, and you want it to blend in as good as possible. When you're done applying it to the complete latex, you also want to do it on his skin, and you want to do it everywhere that this is going to stick, so you have double adhesive. Once you have both sides coated, place it exactly where you want, and then push the edges firmly to the skin and make sure it folds right. And then what you're going to do is take your paintbrush and just make sure you kind of roll this along the edges just to make sure it sticks, and give it a few minutes to dry. The next step is to put on makeup. Now in professional Hollywood studio makeups, they have the latex go really thin. I mean almost like a membrane. And of course that's more professional. But keep in mind, this is a martial arts training, self-defense training, and we don't want to spend hours. We just want to do enough to make an illusion of a wound when we're doing our scenarios. Now, come in with skin color and actually paint the latex and start blending it into the skin. And of course this makes it a little more realistic, and there are different skin tones that you can get, and I picked this one because this seems to match Joachim's skin fairly well. So paint in there, don't be afraid, put a thick amount on it, and then when you finally do all the edges, with your finger blend the edges out into his skin so it looks a little more realistic. After you've painted around the latex wound, you're going to take blood gel. And what the blood gel does is it's kind of like a thick, it's like stage blood but thicker, and we're going to actually paint it into the wound. And what this does is it gives it that wet look, like it's fresh, like a fresh wound. So just get some on the end of the brush, stick it in the wound, and just paint this, this gel inside of the wound. And it will be quite realistic looking. After applying the blood gel, you take the stage blood, which is much thinner, and then you start putting it on the wound. Now this is for the dripping effect, and this is going to give it the wound. And of course you can guide some of the blood to kind of blend in, and it gives a little more realistic feel to this. All right, just let it drip. Start from the wound and let it drip. And again, if you wanted to make it look a little more realistic, you can kind of guide it in different ways and then let it drip. Now, before it goes all the way down, you want to take the shirt and put it over the wound. All right? And of course, this is where the wound is. Now, take your brush and apply the gel, the stage blood around here. And then you could even let it drip from the wound. Now, you know, depending on the seriousness of the wound, is how much blood will come out. Now, don't get over-exaggerated. Sometimes a knife wound won't even have much blood coming out, like a puncture. But on the other hand, this is a pretty good slash, and you're going to get a fair amount of blood coming out. And just let it drip down, and you know, don't be afraid to use big amounts on your brush. Let the blood drip from the wound, and let it stay on there for a little bit to soak in. And I can see the tear of the cloth, and I can see the wound underneath. Now what we have to do is put Joachim into a scenario where obviously someone could apply first aid to save his life.